Hi, and welcome to ELI Presents Pass the Mic, a podcast presented by the Foundation of the Alliance for Community Media. I'm Tommy Shenefield, here with Rachel Kamel.
We're here at the National Conference for the Alliance for Community Media in 2026 here in Madison, Wisconsin. Join us as we pass the mic.
I'm Amos Oakes, Director of Knoxville Community Media.
My name is Ashley Kirkowitz. I'm the President and CEO of Naleo TV. We are Hawaii Island's community media TV station.
Hey, I am Helena Leschuk. I am here with Brattleboro Community Television, BCTV in Brattleboro, Vermont. I'm the Operations Manager.
My name is Barbara Chisholm. I am the Executive Director of WACA TV in Nashua, Massachusetts, and I also serve on both the Alliance for Community Media Board and the Foundation Board.
I'm Jim Palmer. I'm Production Manager at PBD TV, and I'm also the President of the ACM's Northeast Region Board of Directors.
I'm Lauren Glenn Davidian. I'm Public Policy Director at CCTV Center for Media and Democracy, which is based in Burlington, Vermont. It's the organization that I founded in 1984 with other community members in order to get public access TV going in and around Burlington and in Vermont.
Hey, I'm Johnny Gifford. I'm the Executive Director for Brattleboro Community Television in Brattleboro, Vermont.
My name is Justin A. Petty. I'm with Boston Neighborhood Network Media. I'm the President of the board.
I'm Mike Wassenaar. I'm the President of the Alliance for Community Media. I work with our organization members across the United States and with our staff, helping them do their work.
I'm John Higgins. I'm retired, used to teach media studies at the University of San Francisco.
My name is Nathan Glennie, and I am from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and I am the Executive Director of Fitchburg Access Television.
I'm Randy Van Dalsen. I'm with the Buskey Group, consulting firm in this field for a long time. Before that, I was the Executive Director of Access Sacramento, and actually started in this field in 1972. So I have been involved in this for a long time, and enjoy it. I still have not lost my passion for community media, and I don't think I will.
Hey, I'm Roger McKeag. I'm with Olelo Community Media in Honolulu. I'm the CEO and President, and I've been doing it for almost 6 years now. And we're a large organization. We have 4 channels that we run 24/7, plus we distribute on every other platform you can think of.
Hey, my name is Vanessa Maria Graber. I'm the Senior Director of Media and Journalism Education at Free Press, and I'm in Madison, Wisconsin at the Alliance for Community Media Annual Conference.
What was your first ACM conference experience?
My first ACM conference experience, I was actually 2 weeks on the job and had the incredible opportunity to go to New York and experience and absorb community media at Brick Media Center. I was so overwhelmed and inspired by what my peers are doing across the country, and took a lot of that and immediately put it to work back in Hawaii Island.
My very first ACM conference was 2006 in Boston when I worked for Danvers TV. And that was fun. It was a little overwhelming at the first time. Then I went to work for PBD TV starting in 2010 and been to every national conference since. And I remember the conference in Tucson, Arizona, at the end of July. It was over 110 degrees every day, but it was that proverbial dry heat. But that's when I started to network with people, really get to know everybody. And by the time a few years rolled around, it was just a natural.
My first ACM conference experience was 2018 in Baltimore, Maryland. And first off, Baltimore is an amazing city. So immediately I was excited about the fact that these conferences are usually held in pretty cool towns. So, but I remember falling in love with the experience because of the friendliness of everyone there, the access to people who are loaded with information, who've been doing this for years and years, the diversity of people doing interesting programming in their stations. It was just a great place to share ideas, to meet people, and as goofy as the word is, to network and create relationships in a real community.
Virtually, unfortunately. I think I have no memories other than being in my apartment on Zoom. So really my first memory is stressing the heck out trying to get to Chicago, because guess what, Helena doesn't fly very well, and having to meet time constraints stresses me out. But once we got there, it was great, and just seeing the community here. You know, we have a little community within a community, and just it's so great that we can go anywhere and meet up in Chicago or San Jose or Brooklyn, and it's just always you're seeing this vibe, you're rejoining the vibe. So I just was introduced to that just very casually, and it was just that feeling of belonging, you know, as soon as I got there.
I first got involved with ACM nationally by attending the Tacoma Conference in Tacoma, Washington in the summer of 2003. And I was a relatively new volunteer within the organization. I worked in Minnesota at the time. I didn't know many people. And it was an eye-opener in lots of ways. And it was also really great to meet people from around the country that did work that was roughly similar to what I was doing. Really very inspiring.
My first ACM conference was in 2006, exactly 20 years ago in Boston, Massachusetts. You know, after my first conference in meeting people, something clicked. And I just felt like these are my people. And I loved the atmosphere, I loved what they were doing, and within a couple of years, I joined the regional board in 2008, and then in 2010, I was approached by an outgoing board member, Matt Schuster, who came up to me in Pittsburgh during the conference and said, "You have to run for the national board." I go, "Really? Are you serious?" I didn't even realize he knew me. And I said, "Let me think about it for a minute." So I went home, I thought about it, and I contacted him, and the rest is history.
You know, the mists of time, I think maybe it was Atlanta. But the first conference that I do remember was at Temple University. And that's where I met Dee Dee Halleck and the folks that were working on Paper Tiger TV. And that conference was a independent media conference. And that meeting those people at that event completely opened my heart and made me feel like this idea that I had, I was not alone and that there were many fellow travelers. So that was a great experience.
That first ACM conference experience happened in 2023 in Chicago. And I have been to the ACM annual conference since then. Enjoyed a hot Boston ACM last year, and here we are in Madison, Wisconsin this year.
I've been to a couple. I've went to ACM West. I've also went to ACM in Brooklyn. I think that was the first annual conference that I went to when it was in Brooklyn, New York. New York is a beast in itself. Meeting new individuals and some individuals that I've met before was a joy because we get to share our ups and our downs, and we also get to talk about innovative things that will coming in the future and so forth. This conference here that I'm attending now, it's good to hear the information on AI because AI seems to be the big talk of the town now. So I'm very interested in that. I missed the conference in Boston last year because I think I was traveling at the same time when it happened. I went to Trinidad.
I think the first ACM memory was in Tucson, Arizona. And I traveled there with my friend Jeff Shaw, who was the station director at Davis Media Access's community radio station, KDRT. And the Local Community Radio Act had just passed. And so we traveled to the ACM conference to do a workshop on low power FM. And I remember it was a really nice hotel. It was a little too nice. It was a resort, like in the desert. It was really gorgeous. And yeah, that was the first time I went to an ACM conference. And I remember that we did a road trip after that. We went to Bisbee, Arizona and Tombstone. And yeah, that was when Jeff and I first started organizing access centers, community media centers, around the idea of starting low power FM radio stations.
Well, it was here in Madison. I've been to almost every conference. I think I've missed 2 of them. The first one in Madison that was really unique is this was pretty much at the dawn of this organization. We were still writing bylaws. And I remember very clearly working with a bunch of folks, because democracy is important, we kept going and going and going all night long. I remember at dawn, looking out at one of the lakes out here, the sun coming up over the lake, along with hot air balloons, and as well as just all kinds of other really good sessions and getting to know and meet a lot of these people.
It was either 82 or 83, whichever it was, that was in St. Paul. I remember the church that it was in. It had a beautiful dome, and I thought it was really beautiful that a nonprofit video group had repurposed the space for public access. And I had the t-shirt for many years.
The first live conference, I think, must have been in Chicago. And it was a great conference, and the ability to meet with people who've been doing this for a very long time and learn more about the history and just some of the best practices. Been coming back ever since for those reasons, and that's also why I joined the board.
What is your favorite ACM memory?
Favorite experiences of the conferences is the fact of just meeting everyone and not needing to explain what we do, right? And it's so inspiring every year. It refreshes me, and all these things that we talk about, I can take that insight and information, bring it back to my organization, and just keep driving forward to serve our community.
Oh man, my favorite ACM memory, this is my third national conference now, and it's been a fun time so far, but I think my favorite ACM memory probably has to be, honestly, Boston last year. It might have been really, really, really hot, but I had some really fun nights, and particularly, after the Hometown Media Awards last year, we had a great time at a bar with a bunch of games and whatnot. And then I just went on a series of adventures after that, each with like a different group of people from Access. And I got to, maybe drink with them, eat with them, but also just really get to know them. And that was really special. So just that Hometown Media Awards sort of post ceremony night was really lovely.
Favorite ACM memory? Oh my goodness, there are so many. That's very difficult. I think one of them, if it was conference related, it probably was the Harbor Cruise in Boston in 2006. Another favorite memory is Hometown Media Awards, because it's a way that we celebrate all the great work that our media centers all over the country are doing, and I love that feel, I love that vibe.
God. Honestly, it's probably doing trivia last night, or competing with my first IEE annual meeting, which, if my memory is right, I think was in Chicago in 2021. And I could be wrong, it could have been 2022, with Glenn. And Glenn's still a friend of mine, Glenn Williams, big impact on me. And then, then leading to 4 years later, me having this experience to be able to do trivia at ACM's 50th anniversary. So it's been, I feel like I'm actually part of this train, this locomotive that's barreling through the future.
My favorite memory is the number of Hometown Media Awards that Naleo has received over the years. When I first started, it was 2, last year 4, and this year we took away 10 wins. And I think it speaks to the incredible work and standard of excellence that our team strives for. And there are a number of youth who are recognized for their work. So I love the fact that even though we're an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, we are producing stories that matter and have national recognition.
My favorite ACM memory is there was a beautiful thing that happened and a horrible thing that happened that in hindsight is kind of something you can laugh about, but it was Chicago, and one night I took a boat ride on a speedboat. They were playing horrible rock and roll music and looping around the lake, and then it stopped and they shot fireworks off in the city. So there was this beautiful backdrop. That was a great memory. But at that same conference, people started coughing slowly, and the cough spread and spread until I think 75% of the people had COVID, including me.
Did you have a favorite moment at the conference this year?
My favorite moment at the conference this year, I think, was probably the National Awards Luncheon, which took place on Wednesday. It was really very moving to hear from folks who were on different paths in their leadership journey. and who, in some ways inspire me in my work. But then also, I really kind of felt some gratitude in terms of knowing like I had a part to play in helping people out. So a couple of the national award winners, I was able to help along the way, which means an awful lot to me.
My favorite experience is knowing that BNN will be receiving one of the top awards, Best Radio Station for Community Access in the nation. One of our producers is going to be receiving an award for Best Radio DJ for Community Access as well. I enjoy going to some of the various workshops that they have, seminars, meeting people, and getting to know different perspectives on how other individuals run and operate their community access station.
Reconnecting with everybody and just seeing how they're doing. The last couple of years have been really challenging in respect to federal and state challenges, funding challenges, and just hearing and being able to share solutions that we've been able to independently or working together develop.
I loved many moments at this year's conference. I loved the award winners. The Antoine, who won the Dirk George Award, Jasmine, who won the Subusky Award. I was so moved by the Emerging Leader Award. It was just really moving to hear people reflecting on their service and their purpose. That's why I love this. I also had a great moment meeting a couple who had come from Chicago. The woman, Rafia, had won a hometown award for a series she produced at CAN TV in Chicago on suicide prevention in response to her son dying. And she had come up with her husband, and they were just a beautiful couple. And she was surprised to know it was a national award. She wasn't even really clear what kind of award it was. I said, honey, you won a national award for your series. So it was great to just see, again, what motivates people and the purpose and the service that drives so many of us.
What's your why?
My why? Because it is so much better than any other kind of media activity in this country. I'm so glad I decided to take this path instead of turning down a job in broadcasting as a camera operator type of thing. A long time ago, I decided to stick with my activity as a public access producer and eventually worked in the field and a public access coordinator for one of the first places in the country in East Lansing. So, yeah.
My why is that I love making media and I love free speech, and I think that community media centers are the last bastions of free speech that we have in our communities. There is so much censorship, there is so much exclusion, there's so many racist headlines and harmful media content, and community media is everything that is the opposite of that, right? It's diverse, it's inclusive, we allow people to freely express themselves, and it's a beautiful community of people. I worked in commercial media early in my career, and it was very isolating, especially as a young Latina woman. I didn't feel a lot of support. I didn't see a lot of people like me. It was mostly white men, dominating that field. And being in community media, I finally saw myself and my community reflected in the media. I saw women doing technical jobs. I saw youth and older people also behind the camera. So for me, it's about the community, but also free expression. And it's also just like a lot of fun. Community media people are the very best people.
I guess I have small things and big things. Coffee gets me out of bed every morning. And love. That's it.
It goes back to community. I enjoy serving the community that I actually grew up in, and I get to do it in a medium that I love doing. I enjoy connecting through media, using it as a tool to inspire, to connect, and to create.
What's your vision and hope for ACM 50 years from now?
Well, I can't imagine exactly how the organization will be working in 50 years, but I can imagine the need that people will have to be able to use technology to better their lives, to communicate with their neighbors, to represent themselves, to participate in their democracy, in some cases to preserve democracy. I don't think that those needs will go away, and I think that I'd like to imagine that our organization will be at the heart of that work. Certainly to help people tell their own story. I think that's something that's deeply meaningful for me because, people's representation in media, I think will continue to be a problem in the years and decades ahead. And we have to fight to ensure that people are fairly represented and that people have the ability to tell stories and hear stories that are meaningful to them, not basically meaningful to someone who's trying to exploit them. I think those principles are going to be maintained regardless of what happens. In the decades ahead, we'll be part of an effort to ensure that we've got systems that are responsive to people's needs. We have to make sure that they're responsible to our needs as opposed to the needs of equipment manufacturers or marketing associations. Because at the end of the day, we're not products first, we're people first.
Well, I think the vision for ACM in the future is really to band together, really, more than anything. I mean, we're reaching a time where everything we know about how we run our centers is changing very rapidly, and partially that's because of the funding that's coming in, but also partially that's because of expanded need and a real focus and return to local-based media in a time where larger corporate media is not serving people in the same way. So I think it's really collectivizing what we're able to offer people that can really exist on such a broad range, from gathering together our advocacy abilities to pass state legislation and update regulatory language, to just offering collective ways to offer new services to our people, like podcasting is a great example of that, and accessibility options like captioning and audio descriptions. And we're heading in that direction for sure, but I think to put it more broadly is just to collect ourselves and offer insight to each other about what do our communities need now and what will they need in the next 5 years or so, because it's always changing.
Some of the things we're doing, what is our purpose? Why? Hasn't really changed, but I think sometimes the means by which we accomplish those society-changing goals. I mean, we all are working on these things, but I think sometimes we use terms like, we talk about everyone having a voice, and I'm like, well, that's great. But remember too that it only matters if your audience is able to access and hear it. And so sometimes we talk about our clients and we're talking about people who come to our media center. I'm like, yes, but all those people watching on cable, on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever it is, those are our people too. And so we need to always remember that our audience is critical. And so I think how we deliver that to the people who need it, how do we get information to those who don't have it? How do we get power to those who don't have it? That's the thing that's going to change how we do that over time.
My hope is that everyone who is involved in community media understands their role as advocates, that policy and really changing public policy underlies all of our success and all of our future, and that while we may have come to this work as technicians, or we might have come as teachers, or we might have come as high school students making shows for the first time, that we all understand that we have a role as spokespeople and advocates, because that is the foundation of our work. The foundation of our work is not technology. The foundation of our work is social change, and that commitment is going to help us continue to be relevant.
Technology will change. The thing that really makes this special, this being community media, is that it brings people together to talk, to listen, and to share stories that aren't dominated by somebody trying to sell you to an advertiser, and by corporations that have political or ideological or financial agendas. So I don't know that public access I'm certain it won't exist in its current form, but there will always be people who are organizing their communities and who are lifting up their communities, their neighborhoods, to change the social order. And that's where public access and community media comes from. And it wasn't new at the time it was started. It was based on what people had done before in film and newspapers. And so that whole spirit of changing the world is going to continue. It won't be the same form, it won't be the same organization, but that spirit is there. And the reason I'm so convinced of this is because I've worked with stories and people who have been involved in community media, telling their stories and helping them focus on what exactly brought them in and what's the guiding element to their involvement. And whether they've been involved in 50 years or they've been involved in 50 minutes, it's that same thing of helping people and to bring a community together. And that's what has been there forever, and that will continue. So I have hope for that.
What's your advice for future leaders in the field?
My advice for all leaders in the field, including future leaders of the field, is to remember that social change is our job. And that the reason that George Stoney thought that the ideas of Challenge for Change at the Canadian Film Board were so powerful is because he saw this new tool, this portable, really not so portable video, being used as an instrument of conversation in rural and urban communities in Canada. And when those first brigadistas went out with these portable cameras, they went out as a community development project, not as a TV project. And they interviewed folks, for example, in the Saint Jacques neighborhood of Montreal, and they said, you know, what concerns you about what's happening in your neighborhood? And people would say, well, we need jobs, or we need a healthcare center, or our kids need a daycare center. And then they were invited to come on Wednesday night to the Central Place Community Center to see the video. And when these neighbors saw their other neighbors talking about things that concerned them that were common cause, that was where the sparks for building the daycare center, making sure there was a jobs program, that's where the impetus for social change came. That was the role of the video camera. It really had nothing to do with the television show. It had to do with connecting. And that's our history, that's our DNA, and that's our future.
Not everybody is going to be happy when you make a decision. As long as you're including people along the way in the process, in addition to being open to ideas and being flexible, it's also important to sort of build a tougher skin about and letting things roll off your back. Keep the spirit. There are people who burn out and get turned off by some of the internal politics that goes on into any organization, the personal politics. And I think that the best thing when you hit those times is to back off a little bit, give yourself some time, remember why you were involved in the first place, and come back in refreshed.
I think that if you've gotten yourself involved in the ACM, you are already passionate about community and media. So I would say to embrace that passion and run full force with it, and love what you're doing, because it's something worth loving.
I would say to folks who are thinking about leadership to do two things. One, recognize that leadership means many things and comes in many forms. A lot of times people are leaders and they aren't necessarily the most vocal person in the room. They can be doing extraordinary things behind the scenes and exhibiting leadership. People sort of commit acts of leadership, if you will. And I think just about everyone's got the ability to be able to do that act, to become a leader in a small way or a big way. The second thing I would say to folks who are thinking about their own sort of role as a leader in their community or with their organization is to stick with it. I think the true test of someone's leadership is what endures over time. You may not see benefits from your work immediately, but over time, you may be surprised by the enormous effect it can have on people you don't know, people you couldn't imagine would ever benefit from your work. I think a lot about sort of like a drip of water wearing away against a stone. And you don't see the effect immediately, but over time, you can do monumental things. And I think that's just something that's important to keep in your mind as you're making your way.
Keep reading and keep listening to people who have done it before you. Don't be afraid to look at new things that they aren't doing, that you might be interested in. There's always room to grow. So just always be looking for ways to be better.
My advice for future leaders in the field of community media is to get in there. The only way we can make a change is if we actually get in there and we make that change. If we stay on the side and let it happen, it wouldn't do us any good. So we have to make sure that we get in there and we apply our skills and apply our knowledge and learn from those who have been doing it for a while and make that change.
So I always tell, if you're a future emerging leader here in the ACM, start to get involved on the local and regional levels, start to network, meet up with people, you're going to share ideas, you're going to come up with something you didn't know you could do, and by the time a few years rolls around, you're going to be the next one providing advice to the next generation of leaders. So it's always good to be networking everywhere you are at these conferences.
In terms of my advice to people who might be interested in leadership, just do it, really. Like just like cast aside your fears, cast aside your self-doubt or whatever limitations you think might exist between you and a leadership position, and just go for it. The worst that's going to happen is that it's not a good fit, and you can just understandably resign or pass responsibilities off to someone, or things will always work themselves out. But really, I never pictured myself as being a leader in this specific way of being an executive director in my 20s until I was put in the position where it was going to be me, or it was going to be, I don't know, maybe someone from the outside. And it just, my board at that time thought it would be good for someone who knew the work in the community to step into that role. So really, just do it. Just go for it. See what happens.
What is one thing you think only your station has?
I think only Brattleboro has. I don't know of anyone else that's got a really cool weekend-long ski jump that they broadcast. And I'm talking like a 5-camera broadcast, and I'm running 8 or 9 different microphones, and I'm actively mixing between. It's a wonderful, wonderful time. It's really a unique experience every year. And I challenge you out there. If you can film your own ski jump, do it.
We have this cool little tool, DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and it has been a game changer for us. If you haven't discovered it yet, it is the tool for storytelling for anybody to use.
So we're lucky enough in Peabody to own a production truck. We have one of the only production trucks in Northeast Massachusetts. I think the next closest truck is in Boston at BNN. The same engineer did both trucks, and we're psyched to have this truck because we go out, we cover all sorts of sports playoff games locally and now regionally. So it's an awesome honor to have that.
Physical item, if folks are familiar with the famous painter Squidward Tentacles, he has a piece called Bold and Brash that we have proudly displayed in our office. And I can't say with any certainty, but I would imagine maybe no other station has that displayed so prominently as us.
What's a talent or skill you have that no one would guess?
I wouldn't call it a talent, or a hobby. I would call it an obsession, and it's skateboarding. And I've been doing it since I was 12 years old. I'm 53 now. I have a radio show with my old skateboarding friends every Friday night called the Kick Turn Party, where we talk about skateboarding. We get together and skateboard, we get together and get hurt, but it's something I can't seem to quit doing, no matter how detrimental it is to my soul.
Hobby or talent that I have, so I don't think folks know that I'm a runner. I really hate working out, but I want to make sure that I've got an awesome old lady body. So I make it a point to work out and run. I'm a 2-time marathon finisher, and I'm working on trail runs and a Spartan race because I think it's so important to move your body, and that allows for just more creativity in the work that you do.
Initially, I really am shy. I've sort of overcome it by my friends in the Alliance and being able to do, working on the committees and things like that. So, but yeah, I guess that's something that they wouldn't guess would be, I'm shy.
Well, people like to say that I predict the weather, and I predict it more accurately than television. I am a volunteer. I'm a ham radio operator. I'm a weather spotter coordinator. So if I wasn't in television, I would have been into meteorology. So a lot of people reach out to me for weather advice.
What's it looking like tomorrow?
Tomorrow's looking good weather-wise. It should be a nice, clear, nice warm day. This afternoon might get interesting here in Madison. There is a chance of some severe thunderstorms as we get towards the late afternoon, so we'll see what happens.
Well, it'd be hard for them not to guess because it's all over my websites and social media, but I have done puppets for 50 years. I have hand puppets that would hang from my waist, and then I'd put my hands in them, and I'd walk around with a stage that's strapped to my back, covered with burlap, and I'd perform like this. So that would let me walk around and do busking. I used to do it for money a long time ago, and thank goodness that's no longer the case. So I still do them from time to time on video. And you can find all of this and more on my website, www, which you can forget if you don't want to, and your mediaprof, mediaprof.org, mediaprof.org. Look for the puppets section.
Avid musician, maybe people would expect that, but I don't know if people would understand that I'm in something about 10 bands right now, and I play like 5 or 6 instruments. And I think when people think of musicians, they think you do a thing, but I don't know if people would expect that I do all the thing.
Unless you really know me, you wouldn't know that I'm a musician first and foremost, and I play the steel drums. So I'm a well-known steel drum player, performer, and I compose music and so forth, and I teach kids how to play steel drums. So that's one of my not well-known, but well-known talent that a lot of people at this conference probably want to know about.
Now everybody knows I draw, so that's a skill or talent I had. Did the timeline, which was so exciting and so much fun to do. I love Ayurvedic medicine, so I'm studying to be an Ayurvedic counselor in my, part-time public policy effort. So I really am interested in health and well-being and calming everybody's central nervous system down so that we actually can live healthy lives in community with each other.
I am a very good cook. I love cooking. I do everything from whole animal barbecue to scratch meals on a daily basis. In the last 5 or 6 years, I've become a legume connoisseur. I love getting heirloom beans and legumes and cooking with them. I love entertaining people and even making a simple meal at night. It's a joy, and I don't think people would know that necessarily.
I am semi-addicted to mind games on my phone. I'm just always trying to keep my brain going and going and going, and I find that's helping me a lot.
I think some people know I paddle. I have a black belt in Kung Fu.
Can we see anything?
Not really, it's pretty combative.
Well, there's a couple. Before I used to be a roller derby skater, and so I skated for the Penn Jersey She Devils. So I'm really good at roller skating at high speeds, and I used to skate on a banked track. So I think that's a skill people might not recognize that I have. But more recently, I've been learning how to play the cuatro, which is a Puerto Rican guitar. And it's really hard, but I'm part of a cuatro ensemble in Philly, and we play traditional Puerto Rican folk music.
I think the Alliance for Community Media is a fantastic organization. We are honored to have Mike Wassenaar at the helm, providing his support to everybody nationwide. So it's a great way for community media to band together. And with the Emerging Leaders Program, it's another fantastic way to get people just coming into the industry or starting to get involved, that opportunity to continue to move forward.
Thanks for listening to ELI Presents Pass the Mic and for joining us here at the ACM National Conference in Madison. If you're able, please consider supporting the foundation of the Alliance for Community Media.
Your donation helps sustain programs like the Emerging Leaders Institute, the Hometown Media Awards, and the Inclusion, Equity, and Engagement Caucus. Every contribution makes an impact. We'll see you next time when we pass the mic.